Sumner County Board of Construction Appeals, July 17th. All right, Mr. Smith, could you lead us in a prayer? Sure.
Lord, we're honored to serve on this board, and we just ask your guidance and your direction in everything we do. Bless us all. Bless our time in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Lance, you'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Secretary, you call the roll.
Mr. Barry Bradley.
Present.
Roger Smith.
Present.
Bruce Quinn.
Present.
Brian Lynn.
Present.
Tim Moynihan. Michael Williams.
Present.
John Janone. Wally Gilliam.
All right. Everybody read through the minutes from the last meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Second. All right, all those in favor? I hear a motion to approve our agenda tonight. So moved. All right, second.
Second.
All those in favor? That is approved. Nobody here from, well, no. Nobody signed up for the public to speak. That doesn't report. There's nothing on old business. Straight on the new business, and we'll get into class. Everybody's here.
Here's Jim.
We're gonna hold up for a minute for Mr. Wright to get his eyeball. And I believe, Todd, are you gonna lead the discussion in this, or is it?
Not that I know of.
I thought you wrote this.
Word for word. Yeah. I'll just make comments from the peanut gallery as it goes.
All right.
You may not get a word in edgewise.
That's okay too. I'll just let you know what in real life it looks like.
Okay.
You know what's a worry and what's not a worry, percentage-wise, right?
What's the worry is, in the eyes of the law, if it's written down, that's what it is. Am I not correct?
You're not gonna be here forever.
Correct.
Don't be not be signing on the dotted line.
So the woman in the back of the room is president of my fan club.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Heck yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
She's been stuck with me for 50 years.
That's awesome.
That is great.
Mr. Moynihan, did you bring the banner?
Secret. Secret. I'm deaf in one ear and I sleep on the other one.
Yes, dear.
No, they're not from around here. That, banner thing was old, back when I was in the car business, that's what they would say.
Copy at home. I've been reading through.
Got tabbed out.
Almost. I don't know if you're interested, but I would love to elect you as the person who straightens that all out grammatically and whatnot. I know you're good at that.
Give them something to do.
I'm also good at being lazy.
Well, I know. That's why I'm asking. I'm just saying. I know you are, because we're going to have 50 people say what they would like changed, and then we're going to come up on what that is, and we got to have one of them.
I tell you what, if you can play guitar while I'm doing it, it'll work.
Yeah, I can play guitar.
Okay.
I tried to play banjo. I loved string band when I was a kid. It didn't work out. I was a skateboarder.
Yeah, right, can be class prepared.
All right.
So we've moved on to new business, we'll open up the discussion, I guess you'll lead us through this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a brief history, bring us kind of up to speed where we're at right now. Sumner County health and safety standards, been revised, I think, 3 different times over the course of a couple of decades, and it's been a few years since it's been revised, and we've been working on a current health and safety standard. Todd and myself, Todd's been spearheading it, doing most of the work on it, but we've got it, I think, close for y'all to review and critique, and good, I think, base for y'all to use to do a takeoff on, and just feel free to mark it up as you go through it, and once y'all feel pretty good about where it's at, pretty thorough and pretty satisfied about the document, then we will forward it on to the proper authorities and let them review it and take it from there.
All right. I'm good.
This first little bit, Marshall, is what we started off with. Where is it? Let me see. Let me take this down. Starts with number 58 on the bottom, right here. Fine writing a little bit. And right here it'll say regulations governing health and safety.
Oh, wait.
And that's just, we went from this to what we got now. So it's a little bit more in depth and more detailed. So.
So what Todd is referencing, page 58 is the current health and safety standards that we're using today.
Yeah, we'll be starting.
I hope not.
That's it.
Yeah.
Then
We got them.
the revisions start after page 64. It again starts on page 1. So once you find page 64, the next page which says page 1, that is the new standard that we've been working on that has not been adopted yet, but it's the document that y'all be working off of.
So this is in place now. This is what you want to amend, if there's a problem.
That's right.
So we're just going to move on from here and start in chapter 1. If we've got any questions from here, you just want to go through here, how you want to proceed? Or do you want to read through the whole thing with us out loud?
Well, you know, it looks like, because I've read most of this, it looks like a lot of the same things that were here will be stated. Maybe if somebody, like, you may know what's different, we can just go right to those parts and look at them.
Well, I would like to start from the beginning because I don't believe just because it's stated that it's necessarily correct to begin with. So.
Okay, no, that's fine.
You want to take it chapter by chapter? I'm
Yeah, not everybody, not we get to read or read to like children, but maybe take a chapter and read it and say you see anything wrong with that, and then somebody has a question, say that. Take a minute or two, right?
However y'all want to proceed. I'd like to just kind of briefly start with definitions and stuff so that I've got an understanding. Right here, definition under accumulation of debris, rubbish, trash, and litter or garbage.
Yes.
Okay.
Chapter 2.
Y'all state that anything that is considered not to have economic value is considered trash, rubbish, or garbage. But I've been here my whole life, and sometimes there's something that's more important than economic value, and it would be sentimental value. So I don't know that we.
Are you going to lay that out in your yard?
Well, sometimes maybe I've got a 1947 Mercury that belonged to my dad that's sitting in my field, and I live in the county.
Has it got a tag on it?
Yeah.
If it's got an antique tag on it, I'm not going to touch it.
Well, let's say it's a full type disc that my dad used to farm tobacco with.
Don't mess with mom on it.
It's not count either.
No, I know where you're coming from.
Hey,
I hear what you're saying, Barry.
The boat is tagged, right? If it's a vehicle,
Yeah, and I'm just
boat is tagged.
And being here on record or not, if I didn't live in this county, things may be different, but in my world, everybody gets one junk car. I'm not gonna send you a letter from one junk car. If you got more than one junk car, you're gonna get a letter.
But you're not always gonna be here.
I know.
And if this is on paper, then this carries on to the next.
I agree with all that.
And,
Good
I just wanna make sure that we're thorough, if we're protecting private individual property rights as we go, which is hugely important to me.
I think
And limited
everything would
government.
be,
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If you got some sort of little building structure that you could just keep it in there, does it need to be tagged?
no, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. So that's another thing.
I mean, that's the purpose, when we read through this, it specifically says out in the yard, it gives
Right.
the perimeter footage,
Yeah.
and that's where he's coming from. So, yeah, if you got a structure that you can store something,
Right.
out of sight, out of mind, especially when it comes to all the neighbors.
Unless it's in a tractor trailer or a shipping container.
Yeah,
Sure.
we've got that.
And there's
Another problem.
That's another problem, I mean, some folks, they've got these shipping containers, and some people bury them and use them as shelters. There's lots of, I mean, they make good storage buildings, I think it'll be a bit of a handicap. But we'll proceed.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Just right above that, where it says accessory structures,
Mm-hmm.
is a playhouse really considered an accessory structure?
No, but anything over 200 square feet, I don't know that we've ever permitted a playhouse, not that would be a bad thing.
Because I think I thought to myself, looking at this, it's saying garage, carport, accessory dwelling, I get all that, but then also it just says playhouses, and I thought, I know a lot of kids and parents don't keep the playhouse, I don't want, you know.
And that's the sort of thing you reach out and then you scratch off, so I mean, that may be something that y'all feel like is too much, and that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because I never have
I would
turned
hate
in a
to sit there
permit
and
for
say,
a
well, I've already
playhouse.
got a playhouse, and I can't put something out here, because I'm only deemed one
Yeah,
accessory structure.
but you're not, but.
A tiny house maybe, but, like in our subdivision, you can't have an additional residential structure on.
Right, I mean, obviously,
But that's what I mean, though, that would be your
You're also inside city limits, and we're about county.
Well, I mean, it's your covenants. Your covenants have things that I don't have. They're way more restrictive than I am if you live in a nice home.
Anyway, that was just the one word that stood out to me when I started reading through this with playhouse, I thought.
Well, that's fair. That's a good catch.
So we're trying to, initially set up a format of how we want to go through this. So when you find something like you just did about playhouses, you may not want it in there, you may want it struck out in the language. Steve, is that something they should vote on as we go through it? Or how, what's your recommendation?
Should we just make notes, forward it to whomever?
Yeah.
I mean, if you, however you want to do it, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea, once you have an idea. You go through chapter, each chapter.
Yeah.
I think then make it by chapter, might make it
Yeah.
easier to do. And that's up to you, I mean, whatever you think's more organized. I just make it, have someone keep track of all the changes in each chapter, at the end of each chapter, you say, okay,
Make a,
here's the changes.
resolution to change them.
Yeah. And what about tree houses? I mean, they could be unsafe, right?
I think it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, playhouse, whether it's a playhouse on the tree or a playhouse on the ground, right? But do we make a distinguish between the two?
Building code says nothing for tree houses in the IRC, doesn't it, Marshall?
Yeah.
Unless you put water or power on it.
Well, I think you should look at the definition of what accessory structure is, because these are just examples, but a structure which is on the same parcel of property as a principal structure, and the use of which is incidental to the use of the principal structure, whatever that is, doesn't matter if it's playhouse or whatever it is. Just the examples, I don't think are really, they're just examples, they're not really, you know.
So it's included but not limited to.
Yeah.
It can be.
So it sounds to me like the general consensus is if somebody wants to, for us to make a notice on something, we'll make a notice on it and we'll accumulate all them, and then at the end, before y'all vote on everything, we'll go through all of it at one time and
Make a motion to approve this.
I second that.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Well, do we have anything for accessory structures that we're concerned about?
Well, I mean,
Playhouse.
I saw that, because that might be a little overreach right there. I mean, I understand garages and stuff, but.
so I say we come up with some more adequate language for that, I agree with you.
So where did the 200 square feet come from? Is that,
RC, anything over
So that's
square
no-
feet, you have to get a permit.
that's your state code?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Over 200 square feet. And these are just definitions, they're not the code itself, what you get in trouble for. They're just definitions. If somebody says accessory structure in the code, then it's down here in the next bunch of pages, you'll be able to say what's an accessory structure, does this qualify?
So I want to ask a question, I guess this is okay. What would be your top 10 problems you're seeing?
That's very good. High grass vegetation.
Abandoned houses.
Yeah, things that I can do stuff about, things I can't do stuff about, people living in campers, that I don't have any, we don't have really any power for that. I mean, we try and we get success, we do. But if it came down to it, somebody wanted to dig in, we're gonna have a hard time getting them out of there. But
Yeah, but isn't that a violation of the zoning though?
it is.
The high grass vegetation thing, that's not like, I mean, do we really have resources to be out in the county telling people how high to keep their grass?
We do.
That's,
15 inches, right?
We do. You gotta think about it, Barry, you got that fat house living up there looking good, and your neighbor, and I've got a neighbor who says, no, I'm not cutting the grass. Your property value is going down. I can tell you, take a ride down Cage's Bend.
I do, every day I live down it.
Okay, hey, I'll send you, I'll give you an address.
Oh, I know, that don't get left until you turn in Cage's Bend, it's terrible.
No, I don't, no.
I got, in my neighborhood, there's not a house under $1 million. I got somebody that put up a swimming pool and don't have above ground and don't have a fence around it.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen y'all
But
out
the
there.
pool itself is the barrier.
The pool itself,
Is the barrier.
anytime you got a,
Speak to
above
it,
ground,
so it's above ground.
Above ground.
Yeah. Not that it didn't need a permit, it probably did need a permit, but the pool itself is the barrier. That's what the swimming, whatever.
yeah,
And then if it's over 24 inches, right?
Water 48.
Is it 48? And you know,
I'm a water bill.
any pool over 24 inches deep, right?
that's all right, we deal with it though. They're new to the neighborhood, we'll let them know that that comes up when we live around here. But
What about decomposing trash? Is that part of it?
Yes.
Part of this?
Yes.
Snow up the neighborhood?
I should bring you some problems.
I have to confess, when I lose power, I go into the RV until the power comes back.
Heck, yeah.
you need a good electrician to wire that thing up.
Yeah, I just need a generator on the house.
The part about my job that may not be for everybody is I gotta make you wanna do that because you're a nice person. Fix your junk,
You're pretty sure, I manage 200 rental properties, I get it.
you get it.
But, we're talking about individual property owners out in the county, somebody's been here with the overgrowth of vegetation, and I don't know how that's necessarily, I mean, maybe you see sometimes on it, but that's a health and safety concern.
Right. Catch that phone for all week. My neighbor ain't cut his grass since summer started. We got rats and coons and everything else causing in. Them snakes are
Rats
running.
I heard a tiger the other day.
Yeah, what y'all gonna do about it? I'm gonna call Channel 5. You don't get this straightened out, call Channel 5.
Well, that'll come out there and
You know, but,
uh,
you know, I'm gonna make him feel good about cutting his grass when he does. That's awesome, dude. Make you good.
and while you're good at that, I can't always count on Todd being here, that's why I'm concerned.
Well, somebody can do it. It ain't rocket science. You just gotta have.
But as it is written, so it will be done.
That's right, and that's not, we don't got
That's why we
anything
gotta
that no
clarify
other
this
county
stuff.
has. We're not like trying to trend set here.
Yeah.
No way. This is all, I mean, you know, y'all know about Franklin. You know about Kentucky, they're tight. They're gonna put a fine on you in a New York minute. We don't have that authority, so.
authority, that you say don't have the authority to fine them for these violations?
Not until we get them in the court.
So this is just somehow you can violate them and then bring them into a court of law?
No, because it goes down to say that we can fine them $50 a day.
It's a judicial process.
Pass the notice process, right?
Do a warrant.
Right.
Have it served and have a court date and then.
Well, see, nothing in the paperwork said anything about a warrant and all that stuff. I'm just saying, and here it's just said he can go place a placard on something, or you can tell them they got 14 days to come up with a remedy. If they don't, then it comes before us or whoever, and if they don't like it, they uphold his, then
They got
$50 a day past that time.
That's a little bit out of order. They have 10 days. If they get a letter of mine, they think I'm being overboard, they're gonna say 300 of these a week for a year for 6 years. We have one dude. He lives in a beautiful home, and he thinks he's gonna grow himself a goat farm in the back, and his neighbor says there ain't no goat farm. And then Ben Allen and, no, we're not taking this. Y'all figure it out. We're not legally pursuing somebody who can't cut their grass. Knoxville Agriculture got him a whole report on how he's gonna grow these goats, and he still ain't cut his grass. So I told him, I said, meet me in the middle, treat it like a farm, cut the edge around your property, so your guy next to you has clean, you're doing something. And a lot of it, you're gonna get a 6 or 7 or not a 10. So he's doing other stuff. They hate each other, and that's what you get in the
I know, but what I was getting at was the actual
the $50.
process. Because
That happens when the judge does it, and the judge is gonna,
It's a misdemeanor. It has to be prosecuted through the courts.
yeah.
Well, I get that.
And he's
And I
not
think that would say that it's not in here, what we read.
I read it the same way you did.
Yeah, there's nothing about a warrant. The court is the last thing. According to this paperwork, they have to come, they have the 10 or 14 days.
I think
they have
it's
to come
But
here.
if they say they thumb your nose at you, what do we do? That's the question. They say, well, we're not gonna do it anyways.
Well, then it goes to the court, that's what I'm saying.
That's what the idea is, I guess.
This is part of the due process. Everybody's entitled to have a right to due process.
Right.
The first step is time, send some letters. The second step is this hearing award.
Yes.
The third step, if they don't, aren't satisfied with your decision, they can appeal before the courts.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at, but there was, in here, it talks about a $50 per day fee.
Yes, what the issue is though, if they come in here and say, the city come here and they don't like your decision and don't do anything.
Yeah.
How do you get them to pay?
Well, it talks about putting a lien on the property.
Yes, but how do you get all this?
You have to go through the court system.
Right, and I mean, and it says that in here, but it comes after.
Because that
We need to add to that judicial process for
We ain't there yet. We haven't even got off the first definition.
I got another question about this.
Yeah.
I have another question about this. Okay, so it goes through that due process. So if I was this, owner of the property, and I just wanted to give you a hard time as I could, all right, does the, eventually you go to court? Now, what if it took 3-4 months and continuances and stuff? You got the where does the $50 fine start if the court rules in your favor?
As soon as we say we uphold his decision.
Yeah.
Well,
That
goes
day,
back to
$50.
they have the right to appeal this board. I don't think that ever
Right,
happens.
but for this right here.
Yeah,
it's
but
$50.
they want to play it like this happens a lot.
But say they appeal this
One
board,
time
I would say
about-
the appeal of this board
Yeah.
till whenever the final disposition is.
Okay, so after they come through the appeal of the board, is that what, they can win in court or they can lose in court, right? So if it goes on and they wind up losing, what day does the $50 a day start?
As soon as we say it.
I mean, as soon as it's upheld, or if they don't even appeal this board, I'd date it back from the first date of the letter.
Okay, I guess that's where we need a little clarification.
Okay.
All right?
But we do this, I send letters, and then once I'm not getting any satisfaction, because nobody asks for health and safety, you only have 10 days to do that. Out of the, 2,000 I've handled, I'll find it, if it warrants it, if it's a big deal, I'll send it up to Steve. But I'm not burden him with somebody can't cut their grass. At some point, we either get stuck, and it is, and I move on,
Let me give you an example.
because I got plenty.
We got a great example where we had a guy we put a $1,500 fine on a few months ago for running an illegal, basically a legal junkyard, you know. And it works, you know, it may take some time, but it works, you know, and that money's sent back to the county, and it's, you know, that's how the process is supposed to work. It might not be the fastest way.
So he was creating revenue out of this junkyard?
You create revenue out of that. I don't,
Yeah, he was working on cars,
Okay, man.
he didn't have a.
What was his tax filing status, was he creative? I mean, you know, that's.
No, he's been in, this same dude has been in problems with,
this is separate from-
BZA for.
Yeah, I get it, that's just, I understand, I just wanna make sure we're being as thorough and thoughtful as we can, because, like I said, you're not always with it, yeah, you're easy to get along with, and you're empathetic. The next guy that sits in your seat may not be, and he may be an absolute tyrant to the citizens of this county, and that's not, to me, this requires some serious thought.
So, Jim, you said you wanted some more language on the process of the court.
Yeah, because, you know, you get a fine, or you get whatever you get if you're found, liable, okay? I don't wanna say guilty, but liable. And what if the court finds you not liable? So,
You will never not under my watch be found not liable, I can promise you. Because I ain't taking you to court unless you've done something bad.
yeah.
But I ain't.
Yeah, but
Barry
you're
ain't.
the judge.
Everything that ain't me. If it's bad enough and I'm on both, Steve,
You got it.
This is something.
you're gonna pay something.
I think, you know.
Are you gonna move something?
Yeah. Todd, by the way, you're not allowed to quit, retire, or leave the county.
Oh, okay. So many more years.
Yeah.
We can keep moving down the
Definition list, I think, for right now, just to get an understanding of the
Yeah.
basis for
And
this.
this, we're going back to what we talked about the court order here on page 14. After we see court order against the owner's authorized agent of any premises which has been abandoned. There's language about that in here already, but we can kind of tune it up a little bit if you want.
Yeah.
Page 14.
Which item?
17. Paragraph 17.
Not 14.
I mean, there's like for vacancy, for like a derelict structures, et cetera. And I'm just looking through it. Page 14, paragraph 17.
No, my page 14, 17.
I'm saying there's stuff where you could, you know, there's language in here in the judicial process, but it can be tweaked a little bit.
Just kind of an evolution of what that process would be good.
Page 14, paragraph 17.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Page 17?
14.
Paragraph 17.
Okay, 17.
So, I mean, there's language in there, but it can be, I guess, tweaked a little bit to include other things. as well.
Clarified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bet you it's in here more.
Did you have something,
We're gonna go through it anyway.
in definition, something else, Brian?
Do what, I'm sorry?
Did you have something else in definitions you
Well,
think?
yeah, hold on, let me scroll here to it right quick. This is, the reason it kind of caught my eye, because I kind of ran into it today. Blight.
Yeah.
And what it's also talking about is adversely affecting the value of your neighbors, so like an external obsolescence, okay? But there's not like a standard, there's not a percentage of anything that says this house causes blight. And what I mean by that is, this morning I had to view a property, I was down on South Magnolia Street, right over here. And the house I was doing, it was renovated in 2020, it looked great. The house beside of it, I mean, a great portion of the front wall, the siding had fallen off on the side. You can see the old exterior sheathing on it where it rained and everything else on it. I mean, it's discolored, it's starting to fall apart. My only question is, when you talk about blight or the nuisance that adversely affects value, how much of that house has to be in blight condition before it's...
I think what might be a good idea is if you just remove that sentence and just go with the other definition, the remainder of that definition, that might take care of it.
Okay.
I mean, if you
exterior.
Yeah, I mean, like, the front wall, is it 10% of the front of the house, is it?
Once again, if we leave that to your discretion, Todd, then the next guy, his discretion is not gonna be the same as yours, so.
And that's what I was thinking about, is, you know, one person might say, oh, that's good, the other person might say, no, that thing is.
I do think that we have a percentage of affected homes before it's considered
Well,
blight.
I'm just sitting there thinking, I mean, if this thing goes to court,
Yeah.
or anything like that, we need to have some standard, don't we?
Steve, is there another word that can replace blight?
External obsolescence.
Blight's,
Another word, yeah. That's all.
I mean, blight's a good,
It is a good
description of
word.
what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I think it's an excellent description of what it is you're looking for. It's just, I'm not really sure another word would be.
Because it's not only a dwelling, it's property.
Yeah.
It's just the land can have blight.
Because I'm sitting in this house right here that I'm about to do, could be a really good value on that house. Like I said, it was totally redone in 2020. The one next to it looks like,
I think some of these things might be just be, you know, a case-by-case thing that you have to leave to the best judgment of the building
Which
inspector.
scares the heck out of
I
me.
know what I'm saying, but some of these things, I don't know how you can define it any other way, though.
well, it was 10% of the,
10%, what's 10%, what does that
well,
mean?
10% of the exterior of the home.
Yes,
I mean, building codes sets parameters
I got
all
an
the
idea.
time. Correct.
Just my,
I got an idea. Instead of 10%, trying to figure, what if the neighbors called it blight?
Well,
It-
you have to have the neighbors call in usually, I think, for the paperwork.
Well, the commissar can go
I
around and
mean,
get
one
3 letters
neighbor,
from
if
neighbors.
the neighbors around there
file a
think
complaint too.
that this blight is adversely affecting the property values in the neighborhood there.
But the thing is, if a lot of neighbors' homes are starting to go down that way,
Oh, well then.
then they're not gonna call
That's
them.
only-
not to mention they could be used as retaliatory against neighbors, that we don't really know about, it needs to be clearly defined.
what's blight in one area might not be in another area.
Correct,
a
yeah,
fact.
exactly.
Yeah,
A lot of this is subjective, no doubt
Would
about
they
it.
say like North Nashville blight, or East Nashville blight, or?
Or Foxville Harbor blight.
Yeah.
All right.
But and that's the word I just because of the line of work I'm in, I'm down and I see this one is a gym down this road and this one right beside of it. Not so much.
Certain, percentage of, deterioration, that's,
I think there's gotta be something. I mean, because like you said, one guy might look at it this way, one guy might look that way, and
Give us a defensible point, I think, because say 15 or 25% of a portion of the structure was impacted, damaged, whatever, that at least gives you something to say, you know, over half this wall is completely eaten away, you know, it's rotted out, termites, whatever, you at least have something to go with. I mean, otherwise, you know, there's a hole in the siding, that's blight. I'm making the phone call.
You're absolutely correct. Robin? Your thoughts on that?
A percentage would be good, but, you know, there again, you've got, is it the foundation that's the problem? Is it the roof that's the problem? Is it the wall that's the problem? What's causing the problem?
I think they're looking at it more of a cosmetic issue than a,
But you know how cosmetics go.
yeah,
It might be 10% cosmetic and it's 90% stuff.
correct.
But we don't care if you're a hoarder inside, as long as your outside looks
That's
pretty.
right, yeah, we don't go inside.
I've known plenty of women like that too.
You know, I would say if you're gonna do a percentage, do it on the structural, not necessarily the blight, but the hazard of what it could be.
As I say,
When you take the siding off and you find rats living in it, who knows? So your percentage has to be more than just a physical thing. But he don't have time to go say, hey, we need to take your siding off to see. So this is a wide range of, if. And do you do it, you do case by case, Todd's gonna be some covered up.
We don't have a personnel to really do
I know.
dilapidation. We've done one since I've been here.
You got time enough to go find problems and try to solve them.
So I got dilapidation that you can't go in.
Yeah.
Cause you're gonna die if you go in. You're gonna touch something, the rest of it's coming down. We paid for that, Luby Brown, that's about $5,000.
So when you
So I'm not worried about if you don't got your, but again, I'm thinking like what Barry's saying. I'm trying to find that word blight in the violations. I might have got a definition that's not even typed in here somewhere.
Well, I was just thinking also, we maybe have to do the percentage part.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that. Yeah. There again, percentage of what?
Percentage of deterioration, right, or,
What you can physically see.
yeah, just
What the complaint's about.
yeah. I think it's a great point.
Okay, now to go back and pick more black crap out of the pepper. Go back to page 2, accumulation of debris, et cetera, et cetera. A state in which a significant quantity of solid waste products, blah, blah, has, been discarded. What's significant?
Correct, yeah.
Define significant for me, because I can tell you right now, on the side of my house, don't be talking about my house neither. We just got through tearing out the porch rails and everything else, and I tore out a wall, a framed in a wall. And because of the current condition of our resource center, I have no place to dump my construction debris. How much is too much? I know for me, it's too much right now, but I can't do anything about it. So what is
relative? How fast is too fast? How much, when am I pulling you over? Every job has some subjection to it.
Well, let me ask you, because I don't know about your ins and outs of your job. Like, if you're out and about, and you see a property, let's say it's like his, okay, he did that work, it's sitting out there, okay? Do you just do you make note that that's 102 Main Street, and go back and check it in a month, or go back and check?
If I drive by your house, I guarantee a reasonable prudent person with an elementary education can go, that guy's been working on his house, that's not gonna be a problem.
Right.
If I go by there and he's got a pile of crap about 50 of these chairs, we've got problems.
And I get that, what I'm saying is,
But you're right,
I
it doesn't make
timing, because he's saying what's significant. Well, that might be a significant amount, but the timing is, if it's only out there for a couple of weeks.
That's not a problem.
Right. And I didn't know if you say, okay, 102.
And you're very intuitive to say that, because there's a lot of times I'll pass on something, and I know it's bad. I'm gonna give my opportunity that I do pass on stuff, and I'm like, I ain't hitting that today, I've got too much else to do. And then it'll come back around, I'll be in that same neighborhood because of another thing, and the thing is still bad, or, heck yeah, it's gone, I didn't have to work it. And it happens a lot both ways. But that's very good you said it happens a lot both ways. Or if I send you a letter to see how this works, and you say, well, hey, Todd, I just tore off my porch and I'll get to it. Cool, no problem. When do you think you're going to have that picked up? 2 months, month, whatever. I'll be by. You won't hear from me if I come by and it's gone. If you don't, I'll call you back and see how it's gone. And we'll get it done together. We'll work together. We'll work with you. If that's what you're doing, I'm cool. That's reasonable.
So we defined some of the stuff about blight, but what if we did, instead of saying 20% or 25, what if we had a sentence that says something like, visible evidence in excess of 20% is determined by the building official, his inspection.
You need to make that about 50.
I can change it to make it 50, I don't care. But I mean,
I'm just saying,
yeah, but
for
yeah,
damage.
instead of leaving it to the neighbors, the decision is made by.
Because I ain't talking about for the definition of blight.
Well, back to blight, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because 80% is good. That might be the best I get.
What?
50%
intact?
Visible evidence in excess of 50% as determined by the building official inspector.
Is that visible from the public right of way? Because the neighbors may be looking at the back of the house.
Well, they can look at it all they want, and then they're the ones who are going to call and complain, right? So you go there and see if it makes a difference, and then it's yours or whatever building officials, that's their decision, not the neighbor.
Has died, the probate is stuck or never been done, and nobody knows who anybody is, and the farm, the house, and everything grows up, and it is what it is.
Okay, well,
You can't make nothing happen. So those are not a priority for me. I got one on Academy Road, on Butler Road, right off Academy. It just got fixed up real nice and sat back there and looked horrible. And I'm shocked that that old farmhouse still looks good after being grown up on.
mm-hmm.
But it took about a year of letters and talking with so-and-so. We don't know who's got the court documents. We're trying to do this. And can't somebody go, please cut the grass for me, this, that, and other? Well, we don't have authority to do it and whatnot, but it works. But those are not a big problem for me in the county.
No.
So
compared to.
what I'm hearing from especially Todd, we don't know the fight he has.
Yeah.
Only he knows that fight, and Marshall probably does in his constituents. We don't know what he's up against. Maybe we need to ride with him one day. Let's see what.
You want me to bring you some pictures?
Yeah, I've done it, I think it'd be very good.
Right on.
I think so. I mean, I'm willing.
We get one of them big yellow county school buses out here.
Yeah, we'll get along with.
Making a short one. Short one.
I'll bring you some pictures. How about just I bring 5 pictures?
Well, and I keep coming back to, yeah, that's great, and I understand, I get a sense of where you're going. My big problem is, and I'm sure you're very equitable and easy to get along with, once this goes down, after it comes out of that commission, this is the new resolution that we will live by going forward, and not everybody has got your demeanor and
I agree, but I think we should wait until we start saying what the violation actually is. I think it's good that we're beating on the definitions a little bit. They should be, because that's but really when y'all gonna get paired up is when, well, we got, you call that a code violation? I want you to address that, because that's what we stand on. Nobody's gonna say, well, on so-and-so definition, we try to over and above, because these that I have now, the definitions themselves basically are the violation. Whoever wrote it was right, and it's got 3 violations that kind of are inclusive of this and this and this. I'm trying to separate it out a little bit on what is and what's not. You know,
I'm with you. I think it's a great idea. We're starting with definitions, and I'm liking where we're going here. So,
One thing concerns me, because I live on the northern end of the county, where there's a lot of low-income people up there,
yes,
very poor.
yes.
And you have a neighborhood out there that's got, say, 5 or 6 homes. They've been there for years. Their home's not the best. And a lot of them don't have running water. But you have somebody buy a piece of property across the road from California.
Yep.
Nice home.
Welcome to my world. There it is. You didn't see that when you was buying that home, got that property for $3,000 an acre.
that's exactly the point. And so there's property out in the county. Most of these places you're talking about, they're pre-existing. Like you said, these are families that have existed there, so you can't.
So are they non-conforming structures?
You can't keep running on these definitions. I'm not going to get there. Let's stay where we're at. You just stay where we're at.
So Mike is making a very valid point.
That's what's cleaning up some of the areas as well. Because somebody's going to buy it, they're going to buy out and clean up, and we get a new house where what was a dilapidated county didn't pay nothing.
Correct.
Which is a good thing.
Makes this a big HOA.
Oh, that's Jeremy Mansfield told me that about a property that was about this big a pile, and he said, "Oh, we have HOA in the county." I didn't know that, and it's fair to say. And we sent a picture of it, and you're like, I get it. We have couches and everything else piled up, and everything else piled up, and everything else piled up, and so it was legit, and he was with me. But no, this job that you think you're going to Gestapo in here, you cannot.
No,
The commissioners will get you fired.
correct. But you say that, but we never know who the commissioners are going to be 6 years from now, and then maybe that's the thing. Maybe they like big government.
No, I don't know.
I just want to make sure that we're correct when we put
certainly a way to look at it all.
Back to definitions, Mr. Lynch, you seem to be, coming up with some.
Yeah.
That's about the only.
Well, I know where my next one is, and it's on these shipping containers. Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, you just go there.
You know, I know that there's a permit process where they come up there and permit them, correct?
No,
No?
it's a zoning resolution.
Out in the county,
Yes. No shipping
No
container.
shipping unless you basically put,
No siding, no.
that's what this says.
No, this is what we want to do.
Oh, heck.
We're talking about right now. Right now.
How much, oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
So this is proposing a way to,
Get around it.
okay, well, then I'm on board with that. Let's
I
talk about
thought you would. Yeah, we want it.
Yeah, I
Because we
think
think it's ridiculous. I mean, I get it. You live in a nice neighborhood and do bring some orange shipping container with BAS on it because he got it off of a train.
yeah,
You don't want this.
correct.
But if you make it look like, you know, you got a roof on it and siding and everything, what is the difference?
100%, because they're very useful, and so.
Heck, yeah, especially in this climate, there's gonna be some people living in those.
Yeah.
Something right there about shipping.
So, he brought up non-conforming use earlier.
Where are we at? I don't know. Non-conforming use.
Yeah, that was Bruce talking about, trailers that didn't have water in them or houses.
But anyway, if a building currently is in either city limits or out in county, and it's non-conforming or grandfathered in under the last zoning, stuff like that, if it, the act of God, burns down, floods, whatever the case may be, can they rebuild it back to that non-conforming status, or do they have to then build it to today's
I
zoning?
think it's what Marcia would answer that, but I think the building codes, IRC say if it's more than 50%, you have to bring it
It's
up.
got to be brought up to currents.
We just, right, but no, I'm talking about like,
It's done. I mean, it's demolished, okay? But it was,
To build whatever they want.
but based on that zoning, of today's zoning, not of when the original structure was.
100% the code, what they said the other day, or what we learned, is that it had to come back to 100% of the code today, correct?
Yes.
So Marshall, that was something.
Different code, zoning code. That's what
I know we touched on the definition of shipping containers just a minute, but, and I don't want to get ahead of us, but we'll eventually get there. It may be 2 or 3 more meetings. But we have a section on shipping containers. Y'all wouldn't have to turn there unless you want to. But, I think that was on page 17, yeah. Just a brief history of shipping containers. Everybody knows what we're talking about when we're talking about shipping containers. But they have been problems in the past, and sometimes people bring them in residential and use them, and we have language in our current health and safety standards on shipping containers, but it doesn't address allowing a shipping container to come in and put it on a permanent foundation, put siding on it, put a pitch roof out, well, nobody can tell it's a shipping container. So we thought it might be a good idea to put that kind of language in the new health and safety standards. There was a season there where the previous county attorney, I had a discussion with her, and she told me that she thought it was okay if somebody wanted to bring a shipping container in and they buried it, could nobody see it, or they dressed it up, made it look like a regular accessory structure, nobody could tell it was a shipping container. She said, as far as she's concerned, we should be okay permitting that. But this document is not the only document authorized or prohibiting shipping containers. There's zoning stuff also. There's zoning stuff like Todd referred to that I think prohibits shipping containers. So just because we look at it and y'all may want to approve shipping containers on a permanent foundation with siding and a roof structure doesn't mean we don't necessarily get a permit, because our standards have to, of course, comments unless they get a zoning compliance package first from down at the, planning department. They have every right to deny that because they have language in it saying it's prohibited. So I just want to let y'all know that ahead of time. It really needs to be approved on both ends of the hall, and they have it, right now they have every right to deny it, and I respect that decision. So just because we approved on this end doesn't necessarily mean.
But if they do get approved, then we need to follow this stuff right here. The
Yes.
gabled roof and all that.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah. And is that the exact language that's in their processes? What you've got to have a permanent foundation, you've got to have a gable roof.
That is what is in, this document that y'all looking at tonight, and y'all approve it that way, then it'd be approved on, the health and safety standards, but unless it gets proven in the zoning, resolution, then we will not be issuing some permits on shipping containers regardless, or if they're buried, regardless if they look like a accessory structure.
So what I'm saying is, if they jump through the hoops down the hallway and they got that permit, they still got suggestion would be to strike every bit of language and just take the shipping containers completely out of this and leave them approved as long as they get that approval down.
They're not approved, Barry.
Yeah, they're not approved, that's
If
the
you bring,
problem.
right now today, if you bring a shipping container, put it down, and I see that you got a shipping
Yeah, but
container,
if I got a permit down the hall,
you're not getting any. They are not going to do that.
As of right now.
as of right now.
Yeah, but, okay, and they just passed their zoning resolutions, what a good for how many years. They are not gonna do shipping containers unless somebody can do a workaround. I don't know how commissioners can do that, but they will not do it.
So define the workaround, because unfortunately my wife watched too much HGTV, and one of the episodes I saw, literally, these people took, I think it was 6 shipping containers,
Yeah.
had the walls out, welded the walls
No,
together,
they're all
framed indoors, did all this stuff.
We get it,
I mean,
but
so
right
that
now,
wouldn't be allowed,
no,
even though it'd be a primary residential structure.
I wish the planning and engineering director was here because it's his prerogative to what can and what can't. And right now, it's can't.
You might take
I need
the point,
clarification on
we
that.
got a planning and engineering director down there that doesn't think like Todd does, that's why.
No, it's not Todd. It's not Todd. We're just trying to look at some things. We have it, they've got accepting of an accessory structure,
Yeah.
correct? If I put a roof in, how can you tell me this is nothing more than an accessory structure?
Correct.
The ugliness of it, the commercial look of this shipping container is gone. It's not having something commercial in my neighborhood. I got a pretty cool looking little accessory structure out here, so.
It's just, at that point, it's nothing more than a building material.
Yeah, it's a framing of some sort,
Yes.
but,
They just don't like the way a shipping container looks, but if it looks like
Yeah.
something else or it's buried, they might approve it.
They may reconsider
That's what I'm thinking.
once it's approved on y'all's end or
Yeah.
our end. They may
Yeah.
come back and look at it.
Yeah.
But right now,
Yeah.
our standards prohibit it, their resolution prohibits it, so, but they may reconsider, I don't know.
So just leave it in here,
I like the language
come
that's
to
already
us
in there.
down the road.
and please respect that we can't say nothing to that sign.
Oh, I do, I understand what you're
That's not fair with them not being here. We may say something that they'd be perfectly fine with, but as it stands now,
Yeah, I get it.
and we're trying. You can see that on this end, a reasonable and prudent person would think this is perfectly acceptable in your neighborhood. So we're trying.
Well, next in definitions, anybody? Bruce, I know you've got some junk cars in your yard.
can you go over that, permanent basis, please? Because you were talking about people living in campers right now.
Yes.
Can we touch on that for a little bit?
Sure.
Because according to new language, I have to go back and look at the old language, but according to new language, that's not going to be acceptable after 45. I mean, they can be out there for 44 days, and it's on the 45th day, it's considered permanent basis, and they'll be in violation.
I have to look at what the violation specifically says, but that term permanent basis would go back to the 45 days, and I think on the old one, what is it? You have to be a relative, you can live there on a RV, quote unquote, on a permanent basis while you're constructing your home up to 30 days after its completion.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, in this climate right now where people have no money, this is a problem. It's not a huge problem in the county, but it's one that I have a hard time moving. I do get a move. Had one by the new school over here. What is that, Station Camp 3?
You there by Liberty Lane, one of my favorite roads?
And put it right up by the road, and it was his son, went through a divorce, and I get the whole thing. I was like, dude, you gotta help me out, it's gotta go, you're visible. If you was up somewhere in the country, we could work around you, it's gotta go, and he got it going. But it took a couple months, and it's more than 45 days, but once again, if I'm looking at through your lens, we gotta figure out what is acceptable. Do you wanna extend that time frame 45? Is it of this board's opinion that we need to be more lenient or more restrictive? Some people don't like it at all. I want my neighbor here's where I'm going. I want my neighbor lives right next door to me. She's got her in-laws living in this camper, and I smell them getting the gray water and the poop out every other 3 days, and it's on my last nerve. You need to do something about that. And we did something, but it took a lot of negotiation, I promise you. But they hate it, especially if it's in a smaller, lot. You got a quarter lot, and everybody's living. If you're out somewhere in the country, nobody cares. Yeah, and neither do I. But
There's a lot of homes that's got storage buildings that family live in and the motorhome that they're living in.
I know, brother. I know what you're saying. I can
They got a
feel what
dumpster.
you're. Yeah, and you wouldn't want your dog to live in any of it.
We've done a lot of development out in the county on smaller lots that have made this more of an issue. I think it.
What do you think, Brian, for sure, with the time frame with this, we'll just put a question by it. Time frame.
Any more on definitions? I guess we're moving on to regulations and administrative enforcement. You want to run through this one, Todd?
Just quickly, this is where this term blight, the reason why I included it in definition, purpose of the section, resolution is to document Sumner County health and safety standards violations and to establish minimum requirements that will provide a reasonable level of safety, health, protection, general welfare of Sumner County residents. These regulations control the exterior deterioration, blight of existing residential and non-residential structures, including pools, spas, and fences. The prescribed standard of this resolution primarily applies to, but not necessarily limited to, the exterior of the home, accessory structure, and the condition of overall upkeep of all real property. In the event of an emergency, the building official shall not be required to provide a written notice prior to requiring the premises to be vacated in imminent danger of blight. I don't know that we've ever had to do that, or where that came from, probably another resolution that I got that from.
I'm going to move forward from you a little bit there, just because I'm saying this. So somebody that has you go out, you put in place a car, they want a hearing with this board. says here that the $300 fee will be assessed to that person for a hearing with this board.
That's questionable. What do you think
I
about
think
that?
a $0 hearing, we're not paid to do this job, and I don't think it is proper because taxpayers having an issue to ask them to,
I think we asked them for VOCA 300.
you ask them for what?
VOCA, when we have a VOCA meeting, that's why we threw that in there. If y'all don't want it 0, I'm good, because I thought, Mike, guys, they ain't got no money.
Yeah,
So I'm the only one that have $300. They have $300, they get a dumpster out and fix
Yeah.
it.
I don't like the idea of charging.
Okay. You scratch it, Jim? 0. Figure it out? I hope so, that's good.
We'll bring it up.
You ain't getting it anyway.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea because the board of construction feels people that's coming here to fill that usually get money, but people that health and safety, like Todd says, they're financially struggling.
Yeah, they strapped.
That actually makes me happy.
Good. We're here for your
But you
pleasure.
can't, but I mean, how can you negotiate with somebody that said, well, I would have called the board on you, but, it never happens, but I don't have $300.
Correct. And I think that's good. Going through the definitions kind of like, it kind of helps me sum some of this up pretty quick. I mean, so
It's fine.
it helps.
Hey, I know Marshall might want to ask you, and I have a question on this first one about this 9/11 addresses. There's a big push to try to get this implemented somehow. There's no way I can ride around and measure mailboxes.
Make sure they have contracts.
Yeah, but I don't know what we can do. Would y'all suggest that maybe we do something in the newspaper, or what does that look like?
All designated with a legal time on that.
I was wondering if we were trying to adopt Davidson County STR guide,
I don't know what that is.
the short-term rental.
Oh,
Davidson County, for all your Airbnb properties and all that stuff now, they all have to have 4-inch numbers, they have to be visible from the street, or they have to be placarded on the side of the post, on the mailboxes. It's a thing, but it's Davidson County.
yeah, I think
We don't want to be
because
Davidson
the
County.
EMP is asking us to do this because they're having problems locating people who are hurt.
I think it's just completely reasonable to display your address.
Yeah.
For those purposes. So what we need to know at this point is how do we advertise to the public that this is coming about? Is that what you're, I think you kind of do that through two campaigns. One of them is social media government. We got websites and then public notification, and then we adopt it through this committee, right?
Yeah, but what's the ramifications of somebody not?
Once it gets big, go back to the same thing. I mean, he could put the,
Well, I know, but you gotta sit there, we're gonna find somebody because they didn't put the right contrasting numbers on their mailbox, stuff like that.
from this one, I could almost see it, because when you don't have your address up, it makes it more difficult for them to find me about an emergency.
No doubt about it. I mean, I drive these country roads all the time, and I'm thinking, where in the world?
Yeah,
You know?
It's on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
what
you're
you're
talking
talking
about a lot
about,
of things on your plate.
what the enforcement mechanism is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have the rule, but then you gotta have the consequence of breaking the rule.
It's all around the letter, you know, if the addresses are visible, right?
You gonna hire me a couple secretaries?
Make them
That's
purchase.
right.
They get you a heart attack, they can't.
I think that's fair, Mark, but they could, I think that is part of the, certificate of occupancy, is it not? Having a mailbox number up correctly, or not?
Sure, it is.
Yeah, under construction, but this language is put in here at the request of Mike Guthrie, the 9/11, emergency, administrator. Yeah, I don't have exact title exactly right, but I've had conversations with him, and he asked us, what can we do to make people go back retro, who don't have the 9/11 addresses put up, and see if we can do something together with him, coordinate with him, and try to, and it's definitely, something that I think we got to
It's a
look
good,
at.
it's a good thing. I just, you say to somebody, we don't have to threaten them with a fine or anything, just say, hey, what if you have a heart attack and they can't find your house, right? What if your house is on fire and they can't find your house? You want to be that person, right?
Like
could be something as simple as I mean, I don't know what it would cost the county, obviously everything's gonna incur costs. You know, we could have G numbers for every address and mail them to each occupant and ask them to be displayed. At that point, if you hadn't, then you've not, it looks to me like, I don't know, Steve, would be enforceable from there, right? If the county gives you property to display on your.
It'll be enforceable either way.
Yeah.
It's up to the property owner to display it if you put it in.
Yeah.
Regardless of how it's done. You don't know who's got a white mailbox, who's got a black mailbox, so you can't.
Or if it's on the wrong side of the road.
Right, okay, yeah, there's some drawback down.
Yeah.
But I think it's worthwhile, definitely worthwhile.
I spoke to my friend again on this past Monday night, and, he will come in and share with you all their needs and let y'all know, what they need as far as 911 addresses and see if y'all can get them out.
We might work together, that'd be
Yeah.
a great idea.
So he wants to come and talk to them about that.
So I know the volunteer fire departments used to do it as a fundraiser. You know, had those number signs and stuff. Donate $20 or whatever, they put you on that.
So I'm with you. That's a great idea, and I think, them coming in here, doing some talk, working together, and figuring that one out, it was a good, worthwhile project.
Just let me know what night you want to hear, and I'll contact you.
How about this one right here on number 2? You know, either the 15 inches or the 50-foot barrier mowed around. I remember somebody I was talking to said, man, that's a couple passes with a big, you know, maybe how about 25 or 20, Todd? And I'm fine with anything, just as long as you can separate the high vegetation from your neighbor's boundary, something.
20 should be fine.
25, I think it's fine too, I agree.
25, one reasonable.
Yeah.
Y'all tell me, are you writing this down too, aren't you, Jim?
Yep.
So, Scribe, what if you had a tree line between your property and your neighbor's?
I think it should have some language subject to topical geography, so like if you got a tree line, no, but if you got a fence row and your buddy's here and you're here and you're doing this and he's down low, you need to have something.
So, all of my property, except for what the county never cuts, okay?
Down front of the street.
They never cut it. You know, you can't even see my mailbox. I have to get out there and cut it because it's a high bank. I mean, it's long.
Yeah.
Anyway, my entire property is lined with trees because I don't want neighbors.
Yeah.
So, as long as it's not impeding their property,
You find, no, I mean, even the language says it's excluding standing forest, so you got trees.
Yeah.
I mean, run all the grass
Just
off.
the grass.
The grass.
I know, my house too, raccoons and all that, but I got it all, brother. I like it too.
Yeah.
I beat them to that. So if you got trees, you got.
Property maintaining on property vacant, dilapidated buildings or structures, so.
Yeah.
So we're taking that to less than 50 feet.
I would say, I mean, even if you look at public utility right of ways, they're never 50 feet, man.
No,
They'll take 20, they'll take 10 to 20 feet.
Who does some farm, how much is a,
So,
back,
Well, 5-foot bush hog is a normal bush hog.
5 foot?
If your property got up there for you both have that 5 feet, you got 50 feet of open space other than trees.
What's the difference, maybe 10 feet?
Whatever.
25 feet railroad right away.
Yeah, 20, 25 feet, whatever, but I mean, they've got, neighbor has to do with this, right? That property line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a 20-foot table, here's that. I mean, that
feet's good enough. Keeps rodents and snakes from crawling over there, because they'll probably haul us in.
I go along with whatever everybody thinks here, okay? 20 feet, 25, whatever, it's all good. But yeah.
Number 3, Todd?
Shall be a violation of these regulations for any owner of property to create, maintain, or permit to be maintained on a property of vacant, dilapidated building or structure that endangers the health, safety, or welfare of other persons. This includes buildings and structures damaged by fire, exterior repairs, additions or alterations to the structure, or changes of occupancy shall be done in accordance with the IBC.
So is there a condemned guideline that you go by on a structure? Would that be, would that not be stated under a condemned building or structure?
Because if it's not condemned and you just determine that it needs to be put back into repair, that could potentially result in somebody having to bring the whole daggone thing up to the current code
Or condemned.
or condemn it, yeah.
Well,
Is there an example? Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
the code says the building official has authority to, condemn a building if it's life safety issues with the fire. But of course, it's almost has authority to have it torn down. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
It's a vacant building, vacant.
And we define vacant by a period of 2 years, correct? That's when it's considered vacant.
Yes. And that's a long time, so by then, it's coming down. That being said, I don't see it that much,
Yeah.
but
I don't know, gentlemen, y'all are smarter than me.
What, can you give me like a good example of this? You know, riding through a neighborhood where you see this happening, or are you riding out in Bethpage and seeing an old accessory or a barn about to fall down?
no,
What's the?
you go to Louis Brown off of 52,
Yes, sir.
and there's a church sitting right there, and this house has been there since, I don't know, probably early 1900s on a non-buildable lot. It's smaller than this room here, and it takes most of it, and it's attractive nuisance because it's still got the stuff in it. It's got piano, it's got...
Come out at the corner of Harp Brown?
It's Libby Brown Road, it may be right there, and we got it tore down because those kids were having daycare here, and just at that door, hey, look at that record player.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted it because it has no intrinsic value. The property taxes were like $130 a year, and nobody wanted it. So we basically spent $5,000, tore it down, got grass sowed and everything, and it's an improvement. I know it was an improvement for the church, but the risk to the county, I thought at some point, you have written how many letters, you talked to how many people, the county knows that this is a problem. Steve would have to help me, and I don't know what our liability exposure would be, but if my son went in there and I found out that we've been working this so much and you didn't do nothing, it's a problem because it was coming down inside, and it was, it was falling. There's no remodeling it. It is just, it's all but demolishing itself. So,
Did you come to 1099 West Brown Road?
is that one? But see, here's where we'll get into another conversation at some point. Where are these monies coming from? We have money. We got Dobbins Pike with Spooky House over there, two-story built on neighbor's property and everything else. We're going to court, and we're getting it going, but it takes time. It takes time, and it's the resources. So we're trying to ask for some, but show that we can spend it, but have, it's a balance. I come in here, what do you get to do and what you don't get to do? How much do we got to spend, what you can't spend? It's a big deal to take down Libby Brown. I'm proud of that. It's been on the books for about 15 years. So, but we're getting it going, but it takes time. Anyway.
Once again, we go to number 4, back to what Brian was saying before, we don't have any guide here. This is all subjective to how you feel at the time. We get into the next one. So I just think that there needs to be a percentage of deterioration, once again, added to that.
Or strike the whole thing. I mean, it just, like I said, we were reaching for the stars and seeing what falls out, you know, because we have problems, but as far as finances to fix it and personnel to go get it all. But like you did say, you know, I'm not gonna be the last dude here, and maybe they'll have other people helping at this position. I don't know.
I think you need to strike the whole thing.
What was that?
I said, I don't think we need to strike the whole thing.
No,
Because they just have people running rampant, not fixing anything.
Same with it, we need a percentage of what we discussed before.
Yeah, I mean, home inspector, that's the person chiming on that.
Yeah, Bruce?
Maybe a percentage and leave it
Home inspector.
discretion.
Well, yeah, it's good, you can have a map for home inspector.
Just an invisible signs of cracks, denigration.
We're starting to have some problems. I'm always
Those?
I'm a property maintenance guy.
Yeah.
I guess if you can see it from the driveway or the street, that's a problem.
Oh, dear Lord, yeah. That's a hot day, you can see it from Mars.
You know, maybe some of these, we have to just think about them a whole lot more, and then maybe come back to a couple of things next meeting.
Oh, yeah, I feel like this is probably gonna take a couple
Yeah,
meetings to get through.
yeah.
Where we at on time, guys?
Well, it's, almost 20 after 6.
So we want to table this, for further discussion at our next meeting. If I hear a motion to the table.
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor?
Yeah, man, contact my husband and ask him.
What'd be good for him, and then we'll coordinate that together. I think that's, yeah. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?